Hello, blessings. Happy Friday. This is High Priestess Jamila, and I don't owe. That's why. All right. I wanted to come and talk real quick because um, there has been a lot of people who have been making certain moves and taking certain actions and coming at witches in a certain way. And it is true that a lot of people fear us witches. They fear us. They do. Good afternoon, 1EQL. Hello, sweetie. People fear witches. They fear us. And I'm going to tell you why. When you step into the world of witchcraft, it is very different from religion. It's very, very different from religion. Religion differs from witchcraft because if you are in religion or if you are a religious person, you literally and spiritually have someone else calling the shots for you. You do. You have someone else calling the shots, and you have someone else holding your hand, and you have someone else. Yes, you do have someone else fighting your spiritual battles for you. Because that is how religion is set up. And some people can mix the two, which is fine. That happens. But I think it depends on the person, and I think it depends on your path. And so when you're looking at a witch will work with sometimes spirits and even gods. But we don't ask those gods. Those gods are still not doing the work for us. They serve as more of a energy or a power, or either really the way that I see deities is they are more so you accessing your power. So when you run upon a deity, or when you feel like a deity has came to you, this is a power that is coming to you. This is a power within you that is emerging. It's very different from religion, where you are asking someone to do something for you. It's different. So, witchcraft is a darkness that you're in. It is. It's a darkness that you will descend upon, and you make a choice and a decision to say, I'm going to descend myself into this darkness, and I'm going to find my own way to the light. And a part of the reason why, one of the main reasons why people choose to take the path of a witch And this is real simple as to why. It's usually because in religion, there's more of a preordained path for you in life. You you really can't step into religion and say, I want to do this. That's not how it works. You can't step into religion and say, I can do whatever I want. No, that's not the way religion works at all. Whether or not they want to admit it or not, you can't do whatever it is that you want to do if you're a religious person. You can't do it. And I'm not talking about what people think I'm talking about. I'm talking about anything, your creativity, anything, because you're not allowed. You're not. You have to do what you are told to do. And then, especially, I don't think just in this lifetime, but in every lifetime, um, when it comes to religion, you're you're you have to do exactly what has been laid out for you. Okay. So, for example, I'm gonna try to give a good example. Let's say that you wanted to open up a Starbucks and you're a religious person, and that particular God doesn't want you to open up a Starbucks. You're not going to open up that Starbucks and you're really not going to have any success. So even when you look at the logo for Starbucks is an ancient deity. Okay, on every cup of Starbucks coffee in every restaurant, you're not looking at a religious god. Even when you look it up, hello Shamika, you're that picture of that lady on the Starbucks cup, that's not Jesus or Allah. So, the creator of Starbucks was not a religious person, even though they may claim to be a religious person. You can claim to be a religious person all you want. You can claim it. That doesn't mean that you are, right? You can claim whatever you want to be to the public. You can claim to be whoever to people. But that doesn't mean that that's what that is, because that's actually a symbol. I kind of forget what the lady on Starbucks is, but I know that it's a deity. Um I believe it's either Astareth or Ostarith, or it's a deity. It's a non-religious figure. Okay. And so most of the people that have created things outside of religion are not religious because they were not actually allowed to do those things. They weren't. So you can't just go around doing whatever you want to do in religion. In fact, religion is usually very specific to what you are or not allowed to do. And I'm talking about as far as when it comes to your creation, to your creativity. I'm not talking about all of the weird things that people are into. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what is specific to your creativity or creation. Good morning, Shamika. Okay. And the problem with religion is that for a lot of people is that there are certain things that you can't do as a certain gender, and this is not just women, but it's also men. And many people want to claim to be religious and they ain't even read the Bible. They ain't even read half of what's in the Quran or the Bible. They don't know what's in there, right? So you can be a religious person and be doing things totally unorthodox, and you got all these problems because that spirit is constantly after you. That spirit is constantly punishing you because you're doing things you're not supposed to do. Very simply, people that claim that they are Christian, but they're eating shellfish. You are not supposed to eat those things. You're not supposed to eat that. In fact, it's forbidden in the Bible for you to eat shrimp and lobster. But so many people will still do that. And then they wonder why they're being tormented. That's why. It's a lot of things in that Bible that you're not supposed to do. This is the reason why I don't keep one in my house. I don't. And you don't have to. So the reason why they fear the witches is because it's something that they are not familiar with. But arguing with us and being disrespectful to the witch doesn't mean or prove that you're not afraid, because what that proves is that you are afraid. When you're being as disrespectful as possible to a witch, it means that you are afraid of that witch. You're scared. Okay. You're curious about witches. You are interested in what it's about. You want to know what it is that we do. You want to know what the connection is to the divine, but you're still scared. And they are scared. And I'm going to tell you why, because I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because being born spiritually gifted does not necessarily make you a witch. So when you come across that witch, or when you connect with that witch, you are connecting with that witch's power, whatever the power is that that witch possesses, right? That's what you're coming in contact with. Most people are afraid of their own power. So the first thing that they sense that their spirit tells them to do is to be afraid, because religion teaches you to be afraid of your own power. So when you come across a witch, all these powers are sort of floating around the witch. They're in the ether. They are surrounding that witch. They are all over that witch. And depending on how that witch has cloaked herself or himself, you may have many different degrees of fear surrounding it. But the reason why is because you are afraid of it. And that's why you get people that attack witches and brujas and warlocks. They go on the attack because they fear what is unknown, because what is unknown to them is power. So you can always tell when somebody is not at the level of a witch, because what's the first thing that they want to do? They want to assume some sort of power over the witch. They feel, a lot of people feel as though if they pretend that they have the authority over the witch, so what they will do is they will come at us with a crucifix, thumping the Bible, reciting Bible verses, as if that it, first of all, a witch is not possessed by the devil, because they don't know anything outside of spirituality or witchcraft besides what they saw on the television. And TV and movies can really, really spark inspiration, but you can't necessarily rely upon it as a guidebook. So the first thing that they do when it comes to witches is they hold up their crucifix and they acting like, oh, this witch is possessed by the devil, like they looking at the movie The Exorcist. And that ain't it either. That ain't it. So they will speak to witches as though we are possessed, or they're speaking directly to the devil. And they always speak it in Jesus's name. If you notice, they are rebuking the witch and because they want to assume a position over that witch because they are afraid. However, this is out of place. This is where they're not judging. This is where they're being judgmental. So a witch is not possessed by the devil. A witch is somebody that simply has embraced their individual power within themselves, and they are tapping into things that are unknown about self. So this is the reason why when it's a witch and they have a problem or a plot or a plan, they have to take on this, or they will try to take on this authoritative role over the witch, which is out of place and totally unorthodox, even for their religion. So that's why you will see quite often, and that's why we have seen throughout history, religious men, they, they took authority over the witch as a means of overcoming their fears of their own power. And here we are in this day and age, where those things are not kosher, because so much of this unknown is known. It's out in the open. There's no veil. It's just there. Okay. The world, even though all of us have not traveled the world, I've only been to 3, 4 states in my life, that we still know about everything, including, what was the name of those lights? The aurora lights. These are all of the things that back during religious times, these things were unknown and undiscovered. So there was a lot that was not discovered during that time. So that's why I always say that, a lot of this stuff is it's outdated. It's very outdated these days. And even though witches have existed since the beginning, it's, yeah, the northern lights. Since witches have existed from the beginning, this has consistently been the struggle between man and witch, because people are afraid of their power. And even as their powers emerge individually, they are still coming at the witch trying to destroy her because they have been taught, they have decided to try to destroy their own power. So destroying that witch and trying to break the witch down and trying to break her down is them actually trying to destroy the power that they are afraid of. They fear their own power. They fear it. And then they project that fear to us. And this is one of the reasons why witches end up being hermits, especially when you out in the open. It's a lot of witches out there. They don't tell people that they a witch. They don't tell people that they practice. They don't have people up in their house so they can see their altars and see all of the symbolisms and the wards and stuff. They don't have people in their house. They don't invite people in because they don't want to go through struggling with someone else's fear. That's why they attack. That's why they want an authoritative role. And it looks weird when you have somebody trying to, when you've got somebody trying to be your mama, when you got somebody that's trying to emulate your mama, your daddy. That's their way of overcoming that fear because they believe that your mama, your daddy, your uncle, people had power over you or didn't fear you. So that's why they will try to take on these weird authoritative roles and they just kind of make themselves look weird because that looks weird, bro. It does. I'm not even going to lie to you. When you see somebody attack a witch, it is because they are afraid. But are they afraid of that witch? Possibly. Are they afraid of witchcraft? Definitely. But what they fear the most is their own power. They don't want to use their own power to manifest the things that they want and desire in life. These people are usually the people that are bragging about having someone give it to them. Literally everything. Everything is given to them. Okay. These are not the people that are going to go out and create a Starbucks. These are not the people that went out and created places like SeaWorld or even the city zoo. They couldn't do that. They're incapable of doing that because they fear. And a lot of people like that are very afraid of witches, they take on other things that are possibly dangerous, like very dangerous. And they do that because they want to prove something, right? So they will take on endeavors that could be dangerous to them as a way of proving. But in reality, they are focused on and they are struggling with that witch because that witch is really their teacher. They want to be taught. They're struggling with themselves. So this is the reason why, especially when it comes to men, this is the reason why they call us bitches, they call us hoes, they call us disgusting, and you're a low down dirty this, and you ain't nothing, and you ain't got no power, and you ain't what. Well, why are you chasing me? Because you have a problem, you have a conflict with the witch because you're intrigued, but then again, you're scared and you're constantly focused on that witch as your teacher because that witch is your teacher until you stop being afraid of your own power. 9 times out of 10, if you are watching a witch, it is meant for you to take the path. But that doesn't mean that you take the path and then you start attacking the witch that taught you because then you're going to curse yourself. You don't do that. You don't just trail behind somebody attacking somebody. You are supposed to be utilizing the path of the witch for fulfillment, which is the number 8. The number 8 symbol alchemically means God, fulfillment. You don't learn to become a witch so that you can go out there and attack people and avenge your enemies. Now, if you have another witch that's an enemy or somebody attacking you, then yeah, you need to learn how to defend yourself spiritually, and you need to learn how to fight. You need to learn how to handle yourself in a spiritual battle, right? So that's different. If a witch is attacking you, you have every right to fight that witch back. Okay. But typically, you step into your power and you embrace your own power for fulfillment. Religion is never going to bring you fulfillment, ever. And that is the truth. And this is a truth that many people don't want to face. And it even tells you religion, doctrine, and text will even tell you that that is not what religion is meant to do. It's meant to prepare you for the unknown. Most people haven't read the Bible and they're in their 50s and 60s and 70s. They still haven't read the entire thing to figure this out. I don't have to read the whole thing to know that religion is meant to prepare you. It's the training wheels of your spirituality. That's it. It's not meant to bring you fulfillment in life. And so many people, I don't care who you are, the Pope himself thought that religion was going to bring him fulfillment, but it doesn't. And this is when you start to become perverted. You're a perverted idea of a religious figure. And so this is the reason why we hear all of these things about you and why the Pope is doing all kinds of stuff while pretending to be this pure person, and they're not. Far from it. In fact, the reason why a lot of religious people end up doing all that weird perverted stuff and they end up having issues, I'm talking about like the stuff that they do, is because they don't know, they don't know themselves. They don't. They don't have any power. Something else is controlling them and their destiny and literally using them as an example. One thing that the witches can tell you is that if you are religious, you are a puppet. That's it. Whatever it is that is meant for you to be made an example out of, that is what you are going to be. And this is something that I believe that every person that is religious, they understand this and they don't like it. So instead of them facing this, they want to attack the witch. When in reality, the witches are doing exactly what they're supposed to do, usually. Usually, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're doing exactly what they are supposed to be doing. And people need to learn how to mind their own business. Mind your own spiritual business. 9 times out of 10, if you continuously attacking a witch and coming at a witch, is because you're afraid of that witch. You scared. But you scared because you don't want to look at your own power. Listen, I've spoken about this. I've been very open about this. I've been very open about the experiences that I have had as certain powers within me emerged. And then even when we are experiencing a shift, which is a change in reality, it can be very scary. And I'm somebody that's I've had probably close to I've had a lot. I can't count them. I've had a lot of near death experiences. So when you cross over, it's almost like they treat you like you dead. But we're not dead. We're here in the flesh. Us witches are definitely here. We may be dealing with reality differently than you, but we're definitely here and we're definitely alive and our heart is beating. So as your powers emerges and that change happens, it is like a death. It's like death because it's change and it happens very quickly and it can be extremely overwhelming. This is what people fear. They fear that feeling of change and they avoid it at all costs. This is why most people will never tap into their own power ever, because at that moment they're gonna stop it. They're gonna try to stop it because they're like, okay, I'm about to die. A lot of people feel when your powers emerge as a witch, it feels like death. It feels like you're about to die. It's like the ultimate fucking panic attack, anxiety attack. It does when you are actually manifesting your power. Especially if you are doing a ceremony or a ritual to do it, or you're doing a specific ritual. It literally, that's what it feels like. But a lot of people fear that. So that's why they never will allow that power to emerge within them. And it's something that passes. It does. It passes very quickly. For me, it does. Maybe because I'm a healer. So when I've had those experiences and that experience you can't undo. People can't undo that. You can't reverse it. Even though there's some people that'll dabble and they'll make up all kinds of excuses as to why they're avoiding their own power. Like, oh, I got to reverse this. I got to put this back where it was when they look at you. But that's irreversible. You can't reverse once a power within a witch has emerged. You can't reverse it. So a lot of people want to. Most people like that they don't love themselves actually. Because if I were them, I would want to tap into my own power. But those people are constantly and consistently focused on your spiritual beliefs. And that is why they are constantly focused on your spiritual beliefs and what you're manifesting spiritually. And it's because those people don't have self love. Go focus on yourself. They can't do it because when they look at self, it's scary. And may I make a suggestion real quick? The older you get, the harder it gets. You don't want to wait until you are don't wait until you in your 60s and 70s to emerge that power because you might be a little too old. Okay. Okay, one EQL. I got your text message. Like this is one of the areas where, because I feel like age is just a number a lot of times when it comes to certain milestones. But Don't wait till you get too old. You better do it in your 30s. I know I did it in my 30s. If you 40, 50, if you even if you, and I would say 40, 45, around 45 would be the cutoff. When you start to get in your 50s and 60s and 70s and you're trying to tap in, that could possibly be a danger zone. If you did it, a lot of the millennials did it in their 20s. They already did it. They looking at all these older folks like, what's wrong with these folks? If you did it somewhere at some point, you've already done it and that can't be reversed. Now, people can try to steal your power, which I think is ridiculous because, again, you're trying to, that whole thing with people energy harvesting, that's the dumbest thing ever because they are not familiar with that power. There are a lot of people that would rather steal people's power and they shine rather than emerge their own. And this is a problem because that energy and those spirits that make up a person's power is not familiar to your own. So that's why we're seeing more videos go up towards people telling them to not to work with their own spirits. I just saw a video, it popped up, it was a short video that was made by another witch, and she was talking about this. She was saying use your own spirits, and that's the truth. Now when a witch does work for you, that's different because that witch is helping you using her spirits. That's different from, you're not stealing a witch's spirit, you're not taking anything, right? That's different. When you are somebody that decides, I want that person's magic, I want that person's power, you need to stop. And that's what a lot of people are doing because that's not familiar to you. And that's happening a lot. That's happening a lot. And a lot of witches are talking about it. A lot of witches are pissed about it because you know what that does? That puts the witch in a position to where they have to stop manifesting. They have to stop manifesting and they have to deal with this problem, this issue. And they don't like it. You don't hear them talking about that much on YouTube, but you definitely see it a lot on TikTok. You hear a lot of witches talking about that on TikTok. I don't know why they don't talk about it on YouTube. Okay. So they fear it, they want it, yet they fear it. They're very afraid of it, and they're very aggressive. They're very aggressive and they're very hateful and they're very spiteful and they're very vindictive and they're very, very, very disrespectful. And the reason why they behave that way is because they are scared. A witch has just as much right to invoke her gods and smite you as you have the right to invoke your God to smite anybody else. So for some reason, I've seen people try to attack the witch and say, oh, well, you're a witch, I'm going to get my God. The only reason why your God told you that you couldn't be a witch, you couldn't use your power, is because that wasn't a part of the deal. That wasn't a part of the religion. What are you getting upset at the witches for? So say, oh, well, in my Bible, no, those were instructions for you, not for me. That's your religion, not mine. And this is where mankind has consistently made a mistake. It was a complete and utter mistake for them to try to force a witch into following their indoctrinated belief that they want to follow. You don't have the right to do it, which is why the Constitution was created. So then what they will do is they will start to do rituals that mimic witchcraft, which their Bible tells them not to do that. And I don't understand why, still, even with all of the history, even with all of the information, there's a reason why we know about, a lot of the lynchings, the hangings, and the burnings, and the Salem witch trials. We know about these things because they're supposed to look at those things and educate themselves to gain some kind of perspective, and discernment on that. But they continuously make that mistake. And I'm gonna tell you something. When they try to spark fear in the witch, witches are never scared. They're not. Why? Because the witch already knows, and she or he knows their own power over their own self. And they're not scared. That's just what it is. You're afraid, which is why you are threatening violence. You are being rude. You are being disrespectful. You are disregarding the witch. You are trying to trespass on the witch. And the reason why you are doing that is because you are afraid. And that is not that witch's problem to coddle you. Even witches like myself that are self-proclaimed healers, we are not going to there's always two sides to that coin. And a lot of the times what I found and what I've noticed is that they expect witches to just lay down and take it. They expect us to just take their abuse, and that's not the way that it works. So it is very ignorant, when what they should be doing is tapping into their own power. However, they can't, because they're constantly trying to take your power away from you as a witch. They're constantly trying to take your right to use your power away from you as a witch. So, as long as they are in that energy, they are definitely not tapped into their power. They're not. And this is what causes the constant misunderstandings, and especially when it comes to women. They act like women are literally their slaves or their hostages. They can just do whatever they want to do to us. And you see women doing that too, and that is disgusting. You got women with a Bible in their hand thumping the Bible at you, and they not even supposed to be touching that Bible. Women are not supposed to even touch the Bible. So they out of place anyway. This is the reason why when you see people like, when you see famous female preachers, you're not supposed to be a preacher if you're a woman. You are not allowed to preach the gospel of that Bible if you are a woman. It says it in your Bible. So then why do it? They do it anyway. So whatever inner struggles that they are having with their own religion, why do they go and they project it to witches? We took the training wheels off. It's time for you to take your training wheels off, is what I'm going to say to them. Will they actually do that? Most of them won't, because they're too afraid. They don't want to step outside of their comfort zone, even if it's for a few minutes. They have to have this particular thing created around this thing, and they're super duper focused on you for some reason, because they feel as though you're their enemy. And really, their enemy is fear. And it makes them feel weird. It makes them, I've been through those experiences. Like I said, I've been, I've been pushing forward at hyper speed, especially the past several years. And I can tell you that with some of the experiences that I have had, I can see why most people don't want to tap into that power. I can see why most people don't want to, and why they choose to stay where they're at, because it's not an easy process. Depending on who you are, it could take a few years. But there's some people that they're doing it and they're setting an intent to do it. So when this happens during ritual, it can literally feel like you done been raptured or something. It's a, and I don't know how it feels to be raptured, but I do know that it's a feeling that you have to sit down, and once you're done, you know, uh, you have to sit down. And I would suggest sitting Indian style while you're doing it, because when I did it, I was standing up and I had to stay standing. I had to stay standing for about 30 minutes. Okay. So, and that's one of the reasons why I teach the classes, because, especially those of you that are older. I do have a few older people that take my classes, and it's guiding you through that process, because that process, when you go through it, is kind of it's like a weird feeling, where you kind of feel weird, and it's like your mind just gets blown, the top of your head just gets blown out. But once you gather yourself back up, you are all right. You just have to ground yourself, because in that moment you are ungrounded. In that moment where you shift, where your entire being, your mind, body, and your spirit shifts. That is what most people are avoiding. And a lot of people would rather do that under religion. So that's where you get the Christian witches. Gracious. Hold on, y'all. Okay, y'all, I'm back. Sorry about that. So what happens is that it's like a mind, body, and spirit. It's like a implosion. That's really the only thing that I can say to describe it. And a lot of people don't want to go through that process. They want the power, but they don't want to go through what you have to go through. You have to go through the change. You can't add it on top of it. You can't take somebody else's power and use it. You can't codependently rest on anybody else. You cannot do that. Otherwise, you're not actually utilizing your own power. You're avoiding it, because it's obvious that you're afraid of it. So that's why you hide behind other people. You hide behind Jesus. You hide behind somebody else, the person down the street. You hide behind a group of people. You constantly hiding because in reality, you don't want to go through that process. You don't want to go through that. Whether or not it's a slow process or kind of a medium speeded process or kind of like a fan blowing low, high, or medium, you don't want to go through that. So they avoid, even when they are going through very important shifts. And this is the reason why, because I sat back and I said, why is it so many people that would rather listen to things that are not their business? They want to talk about things that are not their business. They want to participate in things that will sort of make them avoid the shift because it's constantly happening. It's constantly happening. It is. And it's not the witches, it's called the divine. The spark of the divine is constantly happening. There's constantly portals being opened. It's a constant process of waking up that they're trying to do to people, and people will literally, they will avoid it. They will avoid it, and they will do things purposely to avoid going through that shift. Okay, so and I see it all the time. I see it all the time. People would rather go, and they would rather you know that right at those moments when it's happening, people are usually focused on other things to avoid it. People purposely avoid it. If you want to, that's your right to avoid it. But you can't keep worrying the hell out of the witches. It doesn't matter what we did. And I don't care if I was, I don't care if I decided to have a goddamn sex orgy with 5 men. That ain't your business. If I decided that I wanted to have sex with an orgy with 5 men and did whatever, it still doesn't mean that what the hell I'm saying is not the truth. If I wanted to have a freaking sex magic with 5 men, if I felt that that's what the hell I needed at that damn time, it's my business. What you talking about it for? You are avoiding going through those shifts that you need to, and that's why you're constantly focused on what a witch is doing in the bedroom. And yes, witches do have sex. We don't have orgies. I'm not saying that we have orgies, but we do have sex. Yes, we do. You know what? I was thinking about talking about generational curses today, and I'm actually talking about it right now. And it's so deep. The chains became tighter and tighter and tighter. Them being bound by this religion has it's just tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter to the point where they done cut off all their damn circulation. One EQL, but yeah, that that's that right there. What the reason why you're seeing so much of that happening is because of the emerging of these spiritually gifted children. So it's not to say that it's those children's fault, but as these children emerged more and more, because of religion and them, literally, and I've had this happen, and I've heard of clients telling me this one EQL, to where, like, if when you were 2 years old, you was making objects move around you. Supernatural things were happening around you, and your parents were too afraid. They were scared of you because they knew you were making, because a lot of y'all that have spiritual gifts now, when y'all were little, y'all was making stuff move around. A lot of y'all was setting fires at a young age, and they saw your gifts. They saw your gifts of telekinesis. They saw your gifts of telepathy. You were upstairs in your crib, and your mama may have been downstairs, and instead of you crying, you called out to your mama, but you didn't even have to cry to tell her that you was hungry. she just could sense it, right? Which most parents like myself, my kids didn't really have to cry to let me know they was hungry or that they needed me or that they were awake. Cause I wasn't the type of person to let my kid just stay in their crib awake unless I was busy doing something and they didn't need me at the time. But when you were a baby, you didn't cry to let your parent know that you needed something. So you were using your telepathy, and that scared them. They was sitting downstairs, probably watching the afternoon soaps, and you woke up from your nap and you sent them a telepathic message, "Mama, come get me." And she heard it. And she said, "What the fuck? That baby ain't crying. That baby's supposed to be crying." And so she go upstairs and she gets you and she like, "Why are you calling me and you ain't crying?" They was ready to whoop your ass because you were using your gifts at a young age and they were not ready. So a lot of y'all that felt neglected by your parents is because there were things and there were supernatural abilities that you were already displaying as a baby. There were supernatural abilities that you were displaying as a toddler and they was not ready and it scared them and it made them turn against you. Some of them, not all of them, but a lot of them became afraid of you. They were indoctrinated into religion, and then they took you to the church and they told pastor about it. And pastor told them that you were possessed by the devil, that you were the antichrist, and that's how that got started. So they felt like it was okay for them to abandon you. They felt like it was all right. So that's why that was, it was the emerging of these children which began to be born around the 60s. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of y'all that whose parents were very, very religious and you were having, that's one of the they always been afraid of you. And then they got spiritual miseducation. They were told that you were the devil and that you were the devil's child, and then that's how that that um and religion has been under quite a lot of judgment because of that, because they were not supposed to discern that situation. If your mother went to her pastor and said that to him, he was not supposed to give a knee-jerk reaction and tell her that you were possessed by the devil. Probably what he should have done was he should have said, "Hey, that's not my area of expertise. That's above my pay grade. I have not took my training wheels off. You need to go and see Mama Floyd down the street. You need to go see Mama Floyd or Mama Briscoe and talk to either a hoodoo witch or a witch. You need to go and talk to somebody else about that can advise you on that." But instead they wanted to control, so they were giving advice that was unorthodox. Pastors and preachers, and actually Christianity does not rule this world. They don't want to accept that. So that's one of the they actually destroyed a lot of things, right? Yeah. Hey Jen, hey sweetie, hey beautiful ex. Yeah. Yeah, when and a lot of y'all, uh they put you through a series of trauma as a child to bind those gifts. And the way that they did it to a lot of you guys was either punishment, putting you in the corner, or either spanking you. They beat your spiritual gifts into submission because when you were very young you were displaying those gifts, and they wanted to beat it out of you, or torture you or something. And some of these parents even killed their children because they were in a panic when they should have um, did better as parents. So yeah, they put you. Oh, did they really, Jen? Ooh, goodness gracious. Well, that must have been an experience. Was it a school with boys in it? Because I know if I was in Catholic school, I'd be on some boys. Oh Lord, it'd be a good time. That yeah. Uh, okay, yeah. They can still hear me, which is why they, along with their supporters, have ended up dead or dying in the most evil, deplorable spiritual prisons. Energy can die and be killed when it's bad. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, they've been doing stuff. A lot of y'all that have spiritual gifts. That's one of the reasons why you can't use them, or either you have to literally relive almost that traumatic experience that caused those gifts to be what do you call that, binded, or so that's why uncovering your gifts is so traumatic. Okay, uncovering those gifts is very traumatic. Manifesting them, making them come out. Why can't I think of the word that I want to say? uh, uh I can't think of the exact word that I want to say when you release, releasing those gifts, unbinding them. Um, yeah. Oh, girl, I'd have been like, thank you for putting me in Catholic school. Oh God, I am so bad. Oh God, nuns. Wow, wow. There's a lot of energy right there, boy. I bet that was some fun times, huh? Oh goodness. Are you sure that was a punishment? Okay, its job at that point is to kill itself, which is all they will ever do. And they will do their best as ever at it. Yeah. So, but no, yeah, seriously. That's why it's more difficult for you guys to manifest your power, because at a very young age, they traumatize you to make you stop using it. They put you through a lot of trauma. So if you're trying to, like, for example, when you do your first ritual, right? When you do your very first ritual as a witch, when you say, I'm a witch, and something is telling me I'm a witch, and I know I am, and I feel it very deeply, I feel it very strongly. And when you do that ritual and your powers start to emerge, you start to get anxiety, you start to be fearful, you don't feel good, you feel sick. Some of them gave you drugs. They would uh, give you these psychotropic drugs when you were a kid. And so a lot of that stuff was coming out of your system, and then the vaccines, I think that those were meant to be helpful, but I think that that within itself, uh, it destroyed a lot of gifts. It did. Yep. So, oh yes. I know, Jen. Right? I know. Okay, Catholic schoolgirl skirts and boys. Okay, okay. They put me in a Catholic school after I dropped out of school. They wanted me to enroll in I think it was called Bishop Hogan, and I'm not even gonna talk about it because you know what I'm saying. I'm 40 something years old and they still trying to shame me. hmm So yeah, and school was also meant to destroy your gifts too. We ain't gonna talk about that. That's why a lot of y'all were very bored in school. It was like, God, yeah. Anyway, so um, and I think that a lot of witches have to be careful because a lot of us, especially those of us that are empathic, If you are an empath, it is very important and it is your responsibility to make sure that you gain control over your empathism. Otherwise, you are going to have a miserable time. Okay. And I think that more research needs to be done. And, well, I've done a lot of research within myself, but I think that more information needs to be put out there. Exactly, beautiful X. Exactly. I think that more videos and information needs to be put out there for us empathic witches, because every witch is not, and witches would be considered to be dark empaths. Okay. That's why a lot of narcissistic people don't like us. They don't like dark empaths because, their tactics don't really work on us. Right. But I think that more info needs to be put out there to help the empathic witches. Okay. More needs to go up about that. But they flagged this channel, so go figure. So I think that I do want to start talking more about being a dark empathic witch, because that's what you're not going to be seen as an empathic person. So you might as well just say, "Hey, yeah, I'm a dark empath," so that they can, I say, do something to increase their fear. Maybe if they fear more, maybe they'll stop. Because they do a lot. Because they act like, here's the thing about it, is that they act like we don't have any feelings, and they act like they can just say whatever they want to say to us and be as rude and evil and to us as possible. Um, and that's not true. They think that they can just kick us and treat us bad. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, reminds me of that movie Matilda. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of us, and those experiences as children, and see that here's another thing when it comes to people that are considered to be amongst our peer group. um they they had those same experiences with their parents as a child. The only difference is that they never got over it. They never surpassed those experiences with their parents and gained a deeper level of understanding, right? So they may have had gifts, but they went along with the plan. They did what they were told. And when it comes to being a witch, you are defiant. You are the resistance, and that's what they don't like about you. And they want you to know that they want you to feel that isolation, and they want you to feel like you don't belong, and they want you to feel bad because they made the decision to not be defiant and to not be resistant and to do as they're told. And they don't like that, but they felt like they had to, possibly for financial reasons. And that's where that family dysfunction comes in. I couldn't imagine. My family is not religious like that, though. Even though my Uncle Sonny was a pastor. He was kind of open about things, but he was a pastor of a church until he passed away not too long ago. And I've shown y'all my uncle's church, big beautiful church over in Kansas City, Missouri. It's called Purcell Baptist Church, and I never felt any type of negativity coming from him at all, or my family. It's it could be certain people, but that don't matter. But I couldn't imagine coming from a family that was like literal religious mobs. Oh my God. And you try to get a job and they chasing after you at work. They trying to tell you where you can work. They trying to tell you how you can decorate your house. They tell you how to decorate your house. They are trying to tell people how to decorate their houses. Oh, you can't get that. That looks like a symbolism of a witch. Oh, you can't, like, they trying to do everything complete opposite of a witch. And they'll even try to control you with money. And I ain't about to let nobody control me with no money. I walk away. I don't care if my family had millions of dollars. I would walk away. I'll be like, no, thank you. I'll go and manifest my own. Thank you. But my family wasn't like that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, and they do need beautiful exes, correct? They do need to go ahead and break down and create schools for spiritually gifted children. They do. And it's very irresponsible for them not to, right? So, like, for example, this was like, man, it was over a decade ago. When I had my older children in school, y'all know that I was a pushy parent. So I was always at the PTA meetings. I was always up at the school talking to the teachers, talking to the principal, about certain things. And I felt like they were giving my kids too much sugar. I was like, by the time these kids come home, they chaotic, they sugared up. Why you getting? And so I just was a parent that was very involved. And so they invited me up to the school. They said, well, can you come up here and help us plan the menu? And I was like, were these people for real? I said, I got to work. Because at the time I was working from home. But I did put my children, I never forget, they were in preschool. Um, and there was this really nice school, and at the time their preschooling was state supplemented, but they accepted the state supplementation at the time, the subsidy. They accepted it, and I just had to pay the extra dues, so it was kind of expensive. But I went in there and saw what those kids were doing, and they were having those kids do some amazing things. You could tell that whoever ran this preschool, um they it was very zen. That's all I got to say. It was real zen. And they had the kids doing all kind of scientific stuff, and they would take the kids out in nature and stuff. That was a really good school. It was right over there where around where I used to live over in Kansas City, Missouri. But those are few and far between. Otherwise, you're gonna have a building that looks something like a prison, and desks and chairs and a chalkboard. And school was miserable for witches, because we wasn't in the plastic crowd of, I know I didn't hang with the crowd of popular kids or whatever. I just didn't. I didn't fit in with the bullies. I didn't fit in with the prim proper, the kids that they always had the latest shoes. They always had, because my parents, they didn't have it like that, and they wasn't even into it anyway. So, it was extra miserable, because, if you hung with the right crowd, you could be entertained. But I was bored as hell at school. I would sit and fall asleep. Like, I'm asleep. This is boring. The hell? I already know this. I felt like I already knew. So I always been kind of like one of them defiant kids or whatever, but I wasn't outward, like, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't like outward with it. I was real quiet and reserved, but I just was like, I'm not interested in any of this shit. Like, can you tell us when the Civil War was and what happened? I really don't give a shit. Like, goodness gracious. I just didn't care. I was I didn't say that, of course I was respectful, but it was just like, God, are you trying to kill me? It's boring. But I think that if it's meant and you have a destiny to go to college and go far with all of that, I think that school is great. But other than that, for me personally, yeah, no, it just, it wasn't. It wasn't meant for me to go to college. I did take a trade, and I did get a professional license in real estate years ago, that I don't have anymore. Okay, because you have to renew that thing every year, every 2 years or whatever. And so, it just it I think it depends on your path, and I think people need to, worry about their own path and stop worrying about other people's. Some of y'all that's just like Kanye West, but see, he's a man. You don't ever hear of any female artists or entertainers saying, "Yeah, I was a high school dropout. I had to drop out of high school because of whatever." I had several reasons why I dropped out and got a GED. But since he's a man, it's okay for him to say, I dropped out of high school, and then he became very rich and famous. But that's because he's a man, because our society is still um, sexist towards women. So it's not okay for you to tell your story. You have to pretend that you did everything perfect if you're a woman, and it sucks. That's why I don't like most people. That's why I don't like them. If I don't like you, that doesn't mean that I'm gonna curse you. It's just that I don't like you. I don't get down with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why they get mad. It's just that I don't like. Okay. It's not that I don't like you. It's just that I don't mesh with you. It's just that you don't understand me. And like, why would somebody have to constantly be subjected to people that don't understand them? You know what I'm saying? Like, no. But it does remind you of the Matrix, kind of. Remember in the Matrix, that older lady, the Oracle, how she had all those spiritually gifted kids? A lot of us that were spiritually gifted, whether or not we could move objects or we could communicate with people telepathically, I think that telepathy thing scared the hell out of them more than anything. The telepathy thing. Okay. Because if you ever start talking about telepathy, they start calling you crazy. But I wish that we had something like that, somebody that just understood. But I've actually opened my doors to parents that of spiritually gifted children. I've told them, I always say to them, hey, if you have a spiritually, and I have a lot of parents that come to me about their children that are spiritually gifted, and they are in a safe place, because the normal average person that they will go to will automatically start making up all of these assumptions and become biased. And that's why, if you're a spiritualist, if you are advising people psychically or spiritually, you have to be on point. You have to have some sort of understanding of your own childhood trauma. And a lot of these spiritualists out here, people can't come to them and talk to them about their spiritually gifted children, because immediately those spiritualists are going to have um, an experience. They're going to remember some kind of childhood trauma, and they're going to immediately start projecting instead of being able to have a clear head. And so, yeah, like a lot of us, um, actually, I kind of found out my guardian angel was a different name. I can't remember the actual name. I still go with Gabriel. It's a huge concern in the spirit, just to let you guys know, spirits and guardian angels and angels, they are very concerned about these spiritually gifted children and the education of the parents. So when we look at the world in our physical reality, when it comes to school, which can be very traumatizing to any child, the mundane. And then when we look at the spiritual, what the spirit world, what the spirit realm is saying, that is what they are focused on. They are more so focused on, these spiritually gifted children that come into this world. um how are the parents being helped? How are they being advised? And are they still going to the church? Or are they going to places where it ain't safe? So, consistently I have, throughout the years, I have spoken out two parents of spiritually gifted children and said, hey, if you need advice, if you need help, I'm here. And it was weird because a few years ago, I had the local school. So that's how I know that what y'all be seeing in social media is not real. Okay. It's somebody's experience that they are projecting, because it was probably, I'd say, like maybe a year and a half ago. One of the local schools contacted me and they wanted me they were contacting local small businesses. They knew what business I was in. They invited me up to the school to talk to the children about what I do for a living. So this stuff, that this false crap that people create in social media is bull crap, because I've had the local schools in Gwinnett County want me to come up to the school to talk to the children about what I did for a living. And they knew, they found my local business on Google. They know I'm a psychic. They know I'm a witch. And they invited me. Now, even though they did want me to make a donation, they were going to list me in the local school directory, but they wanted me to pay for it. And I was like, well, I ain't really got no extra money for all that right now. But yeah. And so what, I'm telling you, boy. So, you know, a lot of parents are really, really concerned about, uh, their children being educated about transgenderism in the schools and things of that nature. But a lot of these schools, they are bringing witchcraft into the school. They are. So if you're a parent that's like, I don't want my child to be influenced by none of that, they gonna have another reason to be irritated. Yes, that did happen. you know. So anyway, you guys, hold on, wait a minute. Children are the future and deserve the world, and then everything else, and they deserve to be treated as such, especially the good children with the good spirits who come here to help. Yeah, you're right. But you know what? One thing I wanted to touch on, and then I'm gonna go because I got somebody summoning me. Um, One thing I was gonna tell you, the last thing I was gonna tell you guys is that um, there's a lot of angry spirits, a lot of them. And we can contain them, we can banish them, or either we can heal them. And I can tell you that there are a lot of inconsolable spirits that are making up a collective, which is based upon this very same subject. Um, how do I describe this? It's almost like a sinking ship, you know. Like, y'all remember in the movie Titanic, how in the movie, they all these people that were getting ready to die, they were holding on to this one preacher, and he was preaching out of the Bible, and he just, the look on his face. And what the world is looking at spiritually is that the whole world is drowning in spirit, and they don't want to admit it. They are in denial about it, and they will destroy this world by being ignorant and being in denial of spirit and spirits. And as they keep killing these people and trying to silence them, these spirits are inconsolable, and they are roaming, and they keep killing the witches and killing the women, and they keep doing this, and this has been consistent, a cycle. And these spirits show up, and they're inconsolable unless they get somebody that can heal them from their wounds when they were here on earth. And mankind continues to ignore this fact. They continue to avoid it, to be afraid of it, which is only causing this world to implode. That is it. Them being in denial, them saying that it's evil, that what we do is evil, which is either protecting people from malevolent forces and spirits, or sometimes their spirits that I've had to heal. You can't help it, it happens. Okay. For example, when I did the reading, I've done a couple of different conversations about Sylvia Likens. I've ran into her spirit, very, very, very hurt spirits, very, very sad spirits. A lot of the people, the people that y'all hear me talk about that are deceased, and their spirits will come to people that they can communicate with. And I found myself throughout the years, what I do is I keep candles on deck to heal these spirits. I'll say, listen, I'm gonna light a candle for you to heal you. And people, malevolent, evil people, they just keep at it. They're constantly going and going and going with their evil. And they're even being so evil. It is an evil, malevolent person that would attack somebody that they know is a healer, that would attack somebody constantly on the attack of that person. That is evil to no extent. And that is a person that is going to create a lot of problems on this earth, that is going to multiply and exacerbate the spiritual problems that we're facing. Okay. And so when you have a spiritualist that knows what they're talking about, and they have people that are saying, hey, this person has helped me, and that person is still in business after 6 years, you need to question the people or the person that would continuously do that. That's evil. For you to know and have confirmation that a person is using their knowledge to actually help people, not just people that are walking around, but people that are deceased, you're evil. And those people should not be taken seriously. They need to be questioned because it's real serious, because people do not understand the power of these spirits that want and need to be heard. They want to be heard and they need to be heard. And an evil person that is trying to silence somebody or harm somebody that is actually helping with these spiritual problems that we're having, and they're constantly trying to silence that person, that those people don't realize that those spirits, they are going to strike back. And so it's not necessarily the witch that's doing it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jen, it's not even that. It's, honestly, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Disliking somebody is, it gives them too much power to say that you dislike them. So for me, a lot of these people, like as far as like those people, they would rather you dislike them than not have any feelings for them at all. Some people that want to be around you, that want to talk to you, they want to speak to you, they want to be a part of you. I really don't have any feelings for them at all. Like you know what I'm saying? But here's my issue is that it's the disruptive nature. Everybody knows that I'm a telepath. I can hear people calling me. That's why I always say to people, I am so telepathic that I can hear people talking about me from my hometown. That's how telepathic I am. Okay. For some reason, my telepathy is like on 1,000 a lot of the times. Okay. Um, Even though I have other spiritual gifts, for some reason, that one is one that takes over. And I don't like a lot of the people in social media, I'm going to be honest with you, that keep saying my name. Because when you call my name, I'm going to hear it. So then you're trying to get my attention. And I have to focus on other things. And I don't like being pulled in several different directions. And that's a problem for me. And I feel extremely disrespected when people continuously do that. Whether or not my spirits, I will pick up on even if you are typing my name. even if you are calling me out of my name and you're speaking of me. So that's why I just tell people, just don't think about me then. If you dislike me to that point where you have to, because it's a disruption. But they say that I'm problematic when I see them as problematic. And there would be no problem if you would STFU about me. If you never speak on me, never speak my name, never call my name, don't call my name, don't type my name, I won't ever have anything to say about you. And that's the reality of it. You see what I'm saying? But so I was told that I was problematic. I'm like, well, how? Because you already know you already know as a high priestess, I'm constantly in spirit, in and out of spirit. So I'm never going to have anything to say about you unless you have something to say about me. And I can promise you that a lot of these folk are either speaking my name, talking about me, typing about, they're either talking, or thinking about me. And the thoughts that they are having, they are projecting a lot of negativity to me. And this is something that yeah, I do need to work on that, but it's difficult because when they're saying my name and when they're speaking my name and using my image, people are watching them. People are listening to them. And so that's what I don't like. And it's not paranoia, it's those people that are speaking my name, typing my name, talking about me, and they're trying to create an image of me that I will not tolerate. That's the issue, Jen. You see what I'm saying? So it's literally, for me, I did not start my own company to do work for people to feel like I'm a slave or to feel like I'm constantly working. That's why I did it. But when you got people, that's just like if I woke up today at 11:30 and I've had people speaking about me all the way from 7:30 to 12:30. It's like I'm being pulled in that direction, and that's why people are bringing you up. People are mentioning your name because they're either trying to get your attention, they're trying to get the attention of others. And right now, I can tell y'all, like, I am going to be a beast. I am going to be very aggressive the next few days, and I'm going to tell you why. Because it is almost July the 3rd. We are in a Cancer moon, and we will also be in Sagittarius constellation during that time. This is not a time for them to be bombarding you with this malarkey. So I'm not even going to do it. I don't know what spirit is going to do to them. They need to quit calling my name and trying to get people's attention so that they can do what? Because I'm going to tell you something. They're not trying to alter your perception of me. They're trying to alter your perception of spirit and spirituality altogether. And I've been speaking about that. They've been lying to you, just like they'll try to tell you, oh, well, she can't do work for you because we're harassing her. She's got too much chaos around her. Now, what did I tell y'all last night? I told y'all that was a lie. That's a lie. That's not the truth. If anything, their energy, they don't realize it throughout the years, but throughout the years, their energy has been getting transmuted throughout the years. Okay. Their energy has been consistently being transmuted throughout the years anyway. So, if anything, everybody knows, anybody that is an accredited witch or spiritualist knows that they're just sending me pure raw energy that I'm going to have the ability to transmute. In fact, I made transmutation jars on my birthday in preparation for it. So, if anything, that chaos that they send me, that's just pure raw energy. So how is that going to hurt somebody or harm somebody when you're giving me so much energy that I can use? It doesn't mean that I want them to be doing what they're doing, because they have destroyed people's lives doing that. They have. I've had people contact me, and I've had Numerous people contact me to tell me that they wish that they had never been watching that stuff, and a lot of horrible things happened to them because they came to me too late to get the proper spiritual work. They were pulled away from me because of the gravity of the things that these people were talking about, and it completely disrupted their lives when they could have came to me previously and things would have went smoother for them. So they felt like their lives got destroyed because they were kind of going back and forth between me and these other people in social media, because that's their intent. Their intent solely is to change your perception of me, change your perception of spirit, give you some religious crap that doesn't even matter. And also, they want to try to make me broke. They want me to be broke. They want to disrupt business. Grown men, 40s and 50s years old. Yeah. So I'm like they mama or somebody. I don't know. Anyway, my children don't treat me that way. But, yeah. So anyway, guys, I got to go. I hope that you guys enjoyed this discussion. Make sure that you hit the thumbs up and that you share this video. I appreciate you guys. And then also make sure that you subscribe to the Witches Broom channel. Okay. All right. Y'all have a happy Friday, and I have to go. Okay. All right. Blessings. Bye bye.